Change is in the air and is not just for global warming. Climate analysts in the US say they're witnessing a shift in how activists activate. They're seeing fewer mass demonstrations, more localized targeted events, and a pivot away from moral arguments to more lifestyle and bread and butter issues. Mitch McCann filed this report for CNA from New York.
Here comes the sun, little darling.
Here Comes the Sun is a Beatles song written about both optimism and relief. But this climate event in New York feels less about optimism and more about action against US President Donald Trump.
He's taking jobs away from our kids. He's taking jobs away from our communities. And we are not going to take it. There you go.
Climate activists like these are practicing different ways to have their voices heard in the age of Donald Trump, who recently labelled climate change a con job. One involves organising events that target not a wide range of climate issues, but specific ones, such as promoting certain types of renewable energy, like solar power, and even jobs. Renowned author and environmentalist Bill McKibben recently organised Sunday. His initiative saw 500 events held across the US to, quote, celebrate the power of clean energy.
It's now the obvious, common sense, straightforward way to power the planet.
It's a shift from the massive climate marches and disruptive, attention-grabbing events of recent years. The objective, to frame climate change not just as a moral issue, but as an economic one too. A more pragmatic approach, he says.
You got to figure out what meets the moment, but when there are opportunities to reach out to people and say, here is a way forward that will save you money and that will help the planet, then seize it. There's no reason not to.
Recently, we've seen other examples emerge of the fight against climate change adapting. The Council on Foreign Relations launched a program called the Climate Realism Initiative, focusing on the national security and economic threats posed by climate change. Billionaire philanthropist Bill Gates is changing his approach too, calling for a pivot from focusing on rising temperatures to fighting poverty and disease. New York University professor Dr. Carolyn Cassan says one reason for the change is that large climate events in the past didn't have clear or specific messaging and therefore lacked impact.
That these protest moments became opportunities for a portfolio of grievances. And as the number of grievances in sort of one protest moment multiplied, then the message got diluted. There was no clear message because there were multiple messages.
Dr. Cassan adds that disruptive protests like people splashing paint on artworks or lying across traffic made it difficult for non-activists to get on board with their messaging when it was hard to understand what point they were trying to make. And a new administration may require a new approach.
The MAGA movement is probably not going to be moved by climate demonstrations.
She adds that it's not all apocalyptic, suggesting that while Trump denies the existence of climate change, businesses and governments at both state and city levels are making significant changes, something that's easy to forget. Ahead of the COP climate summit, the UN Secretary-General warned that the world has failed to keep global warming within 1.5 degrees Celsius and must now change course. Activists are hoping that by changing their own approach to climate action, they might have a greater impact than in the past. For CNA, I'm Mitch McCann in New York.